The UFC is calling this event Freedom 250, but I think that is a load of bullshit because all I see is they're selling you a celebration of freedom, but it's really just a massive security risk, a political theater, and a distraction from the larger conversation at hand. We're going to start with the biggest problem at hand. It is the security. When people hear White House, they immediately think it's impossible to penetrate, impossible to attack, and that's because they're right. But this isn't about the White House itself. The White House is considered a hard target. A hard target has layers of protection, armed security, surveillance, restricted areas, and multiple checkpoints, and just redundant security measures. If we're being honest, the White House is one of the most protected buildings on planet Earth. The problem is not the White House being attacked. The White House isn't the target. It would never be the target. The problem is the 80,000 people they are trying to pack into the ellipse. That is a soft target. A soft target is somewhere where we have a massive concentration of people that is significantly harder to secure. Best examples are security, sporting events, and festivals. Anywhere large crowds gather becomes potentially vulnerable. Now, add in the fact that we are living in a time where we have international conflicts and massive heightened security concerns. We've already heard that there could be sleeper agents here in the United States from Iran and other foreign countries. I don't know, and we will never know. This is coming weeks after we had shots fired at Secret Service agents in front of the White House, and months after someone bum rushed the White House correspondent dinner where Dana White and Trump were actively attending. Yes, for some reason, we're just going to continue on with this program where we're packing tens of thousands of people on the White House lawn, outside of the White House with all the events going on. It's a great idea. I love it. I don't think there's a problem for security risks at all. I don't think that, the fan expo, the meet and greets, the ellipse viewing, anything. No, nothing can happen, right? No, we have all the Secret Service in history to cover it. We have all the DC police to cover this one area. It's a problem. This is a massive security risk. Now we move on to the weather. This isn't T-Mobile Arena. This isn't Madison Square Garden. This is an outdoor event. There's already rain on the horizon with chances of thunderstorm. One strike of lightning, we delay the event. We could even cancel the event. Imagine if we get a catastrophic storm. Event's over. Where are we bringing it to? I mean, John Jones did make it so that the UFC could move an event on 1 day notice, but this is Freedom 250. Security concerns and the weather concerns are just the most hypothetical part of what's wrong with the UFC White House card. The biggest problem is calling it UFC Freedom 250. I don't think there is a single ounce of freedom in this event. That because you have the only American male champion, Sean Strickland, isn't allowed to come to the card because of his comments he made about the administration. What about freedom of speech? This is the Freedom 250. I should have the freedom to criticize whoever I want and not be excluded from an event where I'm a champion at. Josh Hockett was reportedly mistakenly left off the UFC presser as the only American who's actively speaking and trying to sell this fight, and then they re-added him. UFC reportedly wanted Zhang Weili, one of the biggest stars in the sport, to be on this card, but for some reason, it didn't work out. That doesn't sound right to me. You're going to tell me your former champion who just lost to Valentina Shevchenko chasing double champ status couldn't make it work? I don't believe that. And somehow this card is being celebrated on America's 250th birthday, but it's not even taking place on the birthday. It's taking place on Donald Trump's birthday. Freedom 250, or is this Trump's 79th birthday? We're all believing in this is the Patriot card. This is the most patriotism thing we've ever done. America continues supporting governments and policies around the world that are oppressing others, that are funding genocides. We're being told this is about freedom, while our tax dollars are being involved and used to fund overseas global terrorism by one specific country. It doesn't sound like freedom. I don't know if it sounds like freedom to you. Doesn't really sound like it to me. And now we have a lawsuit. An active legal challenge has been filed against this event. The lawsuit raises questions about whether federal property should be used this way and whether the proper legal procedures have even been followed. Maybe the lawsuit wins, maybe it loses, but the fact that it exists at all shows you that it is not nearly as simple as Dana White wants people to believe. He hasn't even made a comment on it yet. Trump hasn't even made a comment on it. This lawsuit has to be settled before the 14th. It was placed yesterday, and it brings up massive concerns. There was no Congress approval about the claw, but we know Trump doesn't care about Congress. They're claiming that yes, it's a free event, but you're selling $1.5 million tickets for a VIP experience. You have packaging and sponsorship deals for over $1 million a pop. That doesn't sound free. It's free to the public, but you're still profiting on it. And that is illegal. Federal parklands can't be monetized. They call it Freedom 250. I call it a political theater. You cannot celebrate freedom while deciding who gets a seat at the table based on what they say. You cannot preach free speech while certain voices become inconvenient. You cannot market unity while a country becomes more divided. You most certainly cannot ignore the enormous security concerns around the event. Freedom 250 isn't about freedom. It's about optics, it's about politics, and it's a distraction from the conversation a lot of the powerful people would rather not have.